Speak for yourself, presented by Hyundai. We are with you for the next 2 hours. No, I did not stutter, so buckle up. 2 hours. You ready for that stamina enduro?
Oh, man, I got my mind right and I got my suit right, so I'm ready.
You're right, and I love that suit right there. Oh, I can't even brag about how great I look today. All right, there you go. Waiting for it. Damn, hook me up, Macho. All right, let's get it started in Houston. Talking about money, where Deshaun Watson just got a whole lot of money. Watson signed a 4-year extension for $39 million a year, which puts him just behind Patrick Mahomes. The news made people think about the other quarterback in Texas, Dak Prescott, who will be playing under the franchise tag for just over $31 million, which is currently 9th among quarterbacks in the league. So, Acho, will Deshaun Watson's deal have any impact on Dakkery?
No, it won't, Marcellus, but I'm going to answer the question you mean to ask me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what
like I wrote that one.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Does it have any impact on Dak in Dallas? And the answer to that is no. Right? When you think about Dak Prescott and his contract in Dallas, not Dak Prescott in general.
Man, you being particular today. What you mean? That's the same question.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, let's go.
Let me explain how it's not. Dak Prescott in Dallas, the Cowboys have already showed us, they showed the world, they showed you, if you're paying attention, there is a line in the sand. And that line in the sand is roughly $33 million. That is what we are willing to pay Dak Prescott.
Sure about
I don't care what y'all pay Deshaun. I don't care what y'all pay Wentz. I don't care what you pay Goff. I don't care what you pay Wilson. We know what Dak Prescott is worth to us in Dallas at the Star at Jerry World. We know what Dak Prescott is worth to us. So Deshaun Watson breaking the bank, that really don't mean nothing for Dak. I mean, Deshaun reset the market by over $4 million to Russ. Again, I'll get into that more a little bit later. But what does that mean for the Cowboys and Dak? It don't mean nothing. Let me break it down like this, Marcel.
You ain't broke it down yet?
Nah,
You've been talking for 5 minutes.
You ain't broke it down yet. I got it broke, but it ain't broke down. Every summer, not during COVID, I go to Nigeria on a medical mission trip, and we take about 30 doctors and nurses, some black people, some white people, everybody, right? And at the end of this trip, after we're done working, we go to an open market, and we buy things. We buy different artifacts.
A swap meet, basically?
No, because it's not. We're buying like carved masks. We're buying different artifacts, right? And I know my number. I'll go and I'll see a painting, and I'll say, I am not paying more than X amount for that painting. Now, another one on our team, an American, might stroll up to that market and say, oh, I love this painting. I'll overpay for it. Just because I see them overpay, Marcellus, doesn't mean that I'm now going to sit here and be like, dang, they overpaid, so now I have to overpay. In the same breath, the Cowboys have a line in the sand. Just like when I'm in that market in Nigeria, I have a line in the sand. I don't care what y'all pay for what you think is good and a good product. I know what I'm going to pay for what I think is good.
Okay, first, let's talk about, did you steal that tie bar from me on the open market? Or at your market, you talk about, stop, thief! Or let them wear our princely garbs. Y'all catch that reference later. 2, I'm never vacationing with you because you vacation on a budget. I am not paying this. You the dude that we ordered the margaritas, you're like, excuse me, how much? I hate that person, dog. Let me just get my margarita, dog. Let me stay in my zone. All right, here's another thing. You are absolutely incorrect and wrong about this entire situation. Unreal, and you're from the state of Texas.
I am from Dallas.
Maybe you can't see the forest from the trees. You're a little too close to the situation. Let me help you from the outside. This will have a huge impact on Dak Prescott for many reasons. One, based on performance in terms of if you really want to do the comps between those two players, Dak gets the photo finish lead win.
To make the argument.
Over Deshaun Watson. But let's also talk about the Cowboys organization, as we talked about before, in terms of losing leverage in this situation. They have a problem. And it's a good problem, but they're going to have to pay for this problem. And that's Dak's contract. Don't forget the trampoline effect that happens to all of these quarterbacks. Hey, you get paid the highest just 2 years ago, Jimmy G, with only 7 games on your resume. Everybody got to leapfrog you, and they did. Now you look at Dak Prescott, and you look at him at a $31 million franchise tag, and you're saying roughly that's what they think of Dak Prescott, and that's incorrect. James Slater already reported that they offered Dak $33 to $35 million in a 5-year scenario. Oh, what is 5 times 33 or 5 times 35? 165 to 175. That's what they already offered him. You know what Deshaun just signed for? If you really want to add all the years, the 2 years he's playing, undervalued the next 2 years, and then the 4-year extension? 6 years, 180. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Dak already at 5'165", 175. You at 6', 180.
Correct.
Bad situation. Good math, though.
Let me get back to the basics.
Okay,
right?
let's go.
What I told you in the first set, I said I'm answering the question you really want to ask. Now let me answer the question that you are in fact asking.
Okay.
Will Deshaun's deal have an impact on Dak? Yes, but not in Dallas. That is the point I'm going to make. Yes, but not in Dallas. Dak Prescott is not going to eclipse this $39 million marker as I look at it based on the New Year's that Deshaun get. But remember, you've told me this, and the world knows this by now. Kirk Cousins, franchise tagged in Washington.
Ooh,
franchise tagged again. Then Kirk left Washington, went to Minnesota, and as you just spoke of, Jimmy G got jumped. He got jumped by Kirk, not in Washington, but with the new team in Minnesota. Dak Prescott will benefit from this Deshaun Watson deal if and when he leaves Dallas. He'll only benefit from it in Dallas if he wins a Super Bowl again. The Cowboys have their line in the sand. That line in the sand is likely $33 to $35 million of new money. But that line is already drawn, Marcellus, and Jerry Jones is not moving that line based on what anybody else does except Dak Prescott winning a Super Bowl. Outside of that Super Bowl, that line is in the sand, and it's not moving.
Ooh, Dak Prescott's going to be the last domino to fall. And last time I checked, they saved the best for last, and that's going to be Dak Prescott. But let's bring in somebody who knows a thing or two about getting paid in the NFL. Fox NFL analyst LeVar Arrington. So, LeVar, will Deshaun Watson's deal have any impact on Dak?
Yes, it certainly will have an impact on. Listen, Dak wanted to be the same. At the same numbers as Deshaun Watson. Are we there? Are we there?
Yeah, we there.
Got you.
All right, okay.
Yeah, spent all that money, not on Wi-Fi.
Deshaun definitely wanted to be at the number, or excuse me, Dak wants to be at the numbers Deshaun is at right now. Here's the problem, and I think, Acho, you're touching on it, and you're really, really flirting with it on a really, really close level, but let me bring it all the way home. Okay?
Do so.
He's a fourth-round draft pick. Y'all brought up Jimmy Garoppolo getting his money, right? Well, where did Jimmy Garoppolo start?
New England.
In New England, right? So that goes to Acho's point. He had to go somewhere else before the value was given to him that he was seeking. Y'all brought up Kirk Cousins as an example, right? He had to leave Washington to go get that money, right? So I'm saying, yes, it will impact him. Undoubtedly, it will impact him because, again, you look at Deshaun Watson and what he has going on. Deshaun Watson has established himself as the undeniable face of a franchise in Houston. Deshaun Watson was also a 12th pick in the first round. The value that is given and bestowed upon high draft picks and trying to get that ROI on their investment is a tremendous, tremendous factor in making these type of decisions. Unfortunately for Dak Prescott, that 33 million, 35 range, that is actually tremendously high for a fourth-round draft pick for a team. In any industry that you will find yourself in, it's difficult to justify going from looking at the value of saying we're going to get him in the fourth round and now we're going to make him the highest paid player in the National Football League. His value is there, but unfortunately, that value may not come unless he goes to a different team.
Oh, man.
It sounds like LeVar and I agree.
It sounds like you guys agree, which is interesting because you guys came to the wrong conclusion together. And it's amazing how two lost people can find the same place. But you guys did it. And it's amazing that y'all been lied to, led astray, hoodwinked, bamboozled into thinking how Dak has to leave to get his money just because Kirk Cousins did. Let me show you guys, one, who really wins the battle when we're talking about who's making the money. The ATM winner, the champion there, not the champion just on the field, but the champion at the bank. Look at this full screen right now talking about Kirk Cousins and his money.
Full screen king.
Full screen king time. Kirk Cousins, of all of the talk and stigmas of the franchise tag, and he had to leave to go get it, whatever you want to say, when the rubber meets the road, Kirk Cousins is winning the battle in terms of who gets the most for their services, followed by 5 other guys who didn't have to leave at all to get their money. All
Where were they
trumping this.
drafted?
Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees. Why do I bring this up? It's not just to say the obvious, which is y'all keep acting like the franchise tag is a negative thing when it's a positive thing. And then y'all try to move the goalposts and say, okay, well, it ain't that bad, because obviously this full screen kills that. But you have to leave to go get your money. Now let's talk about that situation where Dak Prescott has already been offered 5 years, $175.
We don't know the details.
Okay, look, he's been offered $33 million. They both agree.
I'll give you
That's
that
5 years, $165.
I'll give you that one.
5 years, $165.
Fair.
Deshaun just signed for 6 years, $175. Acho, if Fox came to you with both of those deals, which one you taking? That's my point. That can't lose.
It depends on what's guaranteed, Marcellus.
The guarantees were the same, 110. Brother, I'll do my homework. The guarantees were the same, 110. So here's the thing. Dak is sitting there with a hypothetical floor that is already Deshaun Watson's ceiling. His floor is his ceiling. I don't understand the argument.
Deceptive.
All I hear is y'all projecting that he has to leave when Jerry said he's not leaving. He's our franchise quarterback for the future, and Dak is saying the same thing.
Okay, first and foremost, Jerry done lied before. So you're not going to use Jerry's testament and testimony as a standard of truth.
He ain't lied to me. He said, Marcellus, you got to go. And I left. Wasn't done. He lied to me. He told the real on me. What you mean? I was sorry.
The point I'm going to make is what you've established early on is the disconnect for us is simply this. You think that because Dak Prescott has accomplished a lot, Jerry Jones will continue to overcommit or move his mark. Jerry will not overcommit, nor will he move his mark. Jerry is giving Dak 33 to 35. Again, Dak's contract situation and Deshaun's situation are different. Dak had fulfilled his entire rookie contract prior to now coming to the table and renegotiating. Deshaun has not fulfilled his rookie contract. Dak has played under more risk. Dak has had to play all 4 years before re-upping. It's the difference between Dak and Deshaun, but we're not going to get into the hairs of that. So many people would say, well, why would the Cowboys leave and let go of Dak when they are Super Bowl contenders? Remember, you can be good, but good is the enemy of great. The Kansas City Chiefs, 2018, they were really good. 12-4. Alex Smith was their starting quarterback, and they had a young quarterback waiting in the wings by the name of Patrick Mahomes. But good kept the Chiefs from being great. They let Alex Smith go. Alex Smith goes on to Washington. Patrick Mahomes, he takes over, and the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott has proven himself to be really, really good. Until Dak Prescott proves himself to be great, Marcellus, until he proves himself to be the Cowboys will let him go at a number.
Falling into these traps.
Listen, we just going to have our compass and think we're going the right way. You're going to have yours think you're going the right way, all right? Because I'm going to continue on with what he's saying right now. He does have to prove that he's an MVP status level guy. He has to be a Super Bowl winning guy if he's going to command the numbers that you're specifically saying he's going to get, Marcellus. And here's why. Think about this. You got to follow the bottom line to know who is most important, correct? Will we all say that?
Yep.
Generally speaking, it's MVPs. It's most important, most biggest face on the team. Well, one Ezekiel Elliott, what did he do last year? What did he do at the same exact time Dak Prescott said, I deserve this money, I deserve this contract? What did Ezekiel Elliott do? Went to Cabo, was in Vegas, stiff-arming security guards, doing barrel rolls and wind sprints with Marshall Falk. Got Marshall Falk jumping on the phone to talk on his behalf. And what did they do? What did Ezekiel Elliott do before he got that money? Nothing. What did he do once he got that money? Came into camp. Okay, we did not see Dak Prescott hold out and say, hey, I am the face of this team, so therefore you guys are going to pay me. Dak knows what he needs to do. He can continue to fight for what it is that he money-wise, but I'm telling you right now, Dak Prescott is not in a position where he can impact himself effectively where he currently stands.
You know, when I was in high school, some of my teachers literally wanted to label me as a mathematician. And I tell you why. Because I was in calculus with kids 2-3 years older than me, grades higher than me. And I wasn't a genius in math. I just knew I loved math because math didn't need a story and it has no feelings. And that's why I didn't like English as much. And you guys sound like you're in an English class right now. Give me a lot of story to try and really wrap your argument around instead of just what math is. Numbers, no story, no feelings. Here's the numbers right now. Kirk Cousins, was he an MVP caliber quarterback or whatever you want to say? No.
But he had to go somewhere else.
But he went somewhere else and got his money. But here's the thing. While he was still there, he made $44 million on 2 franchise tags. Dak is going to make $69 million if he stays and gets franchised again. So these projections, they also don't look the same. Dak looks like he's in a much better position than Kirk Cousins, who already is in a better position than everyone in the NFL in the last 4 years. Now let's go deeper than that. I'm sorry I'm not listening to you because I got some facts.
That's all right.
All right.
Stay focused.
The Dallas Cowboys now look at a quarterback that they've already been on record saying that they want to keep. And that guy is already projected to make a minimum of $105 million the next 3 years, where that's not going to be the case for Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. Now let's get into Deshaun Watson versus Dak, which is y'all argument, it seems like. MVP caliber. How many playoff games has Deshaun Watson won? How many has Dak won? How many has Dak won?
Face of a franchise, number 12 pick in the first round.
So here's the thing. So
Very
they both haven't won the same. Let's talk about last year. Who had a better touchdown to interception ratio? Dak. Who had more yards? Dak. Who had more yards per attempt? Acho's favorite subject. Dak. Who had a better passer rating? Dak. And so the last point of this, once again, y'all got a story, but I just got numbers. Here's the last thing. Jerry Jones trusts himself in business, but he can't trust himself in terms of evaluation at the quarterback position. Let's be real. The same draft that they got Dak Prescott in the 4th round, Paxton Lynch was the guy that they were trying to get. How'd that turn out? And then Connor Cook, how'd that turn out? So someone, maybe Stephen Jones, someone smart is saying, we're not playing with this anymore. We got lucked up. We lucked up with Tony Romo, and now we lucked up with this situation getting a 4th rounder.
You're rapping.
The lack of trust in his own decision-making process will factor into this. That's why Dak will now surpass Kirk Cousins, making the most money going forward. Coming up at the top of the hour, the Lakers evened their series with the Rockets last night, but they still have some major red flags to work out. But first, Cam Newton says he still has something to prove in New England. We'll tell you if we agree with the former MVP next. Speak for yourself is presented by Hyundai.
Fox NFL Sunday is back this week with a great slate of early games. Then it's a blockbuster in America's game of the week. As Tom Brady and those new-look Bucks take on Breeze and the Saints. Check local listings for the games in your area or watch it on the Fox Sports app.
Check 51.
Robert. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's talk about Cam Newton, who is 6 days away from starting in his first game for the Patriots. The former NFL MVP isn't letting his new title of starter and team captain go to his head, though. Cam said, quote, I have so much to prove with an opportunity of a lifetime. Joined again by LeVar, but Marcellus, you up first. You agree that Cam has a lot left to prove, has something left to prove.
Yeah, I agree he has something left to prove, and it's going to get proven in New England. Look, everything he does in the Patriots uniform is going to get respected, revered, and amplified more than anything he did in Carolina. And Cam Newton is talking about just that. Being the same person, but being regarded as a different leader already 2 months in as being the New England Patriots quarterback. So I think where you do something matters as much as what you do when you're talking about your reputation. Think about that, like where you do it. Platform matters. Charles Barkley literally gets on TV sometimes and can just say his ABCs, guarantee and terrible. And it is headline news around the world. Why? Because he's on a tremendous platform and he's a tremendous talent on that tremendous platform. Same thing now. You got Cam Newton not displaced, not out of place in terms of where is he playing versus how talented he is. So now Cam Newton has just went to a situation where everything is boosted because of the dynasty of what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick created, but more so of the culture that Bill Belichick has created that makes everyone seem more respected by doing the same thing when you do it in a Pats uniform.
I agree with you. Cam Newton actually has everything left to prove. I'm a huge Cam Newton fan, but I have to remove my bias from this answer because it is always facts over
Feelings.
over feelings.
My dog.
Cam Newton really has started and completed 8 full seasons. When you think about it, looking at the statistics, he has 3 winning seasons. He has 5 losing seasons. This isn't my opinion. These are just the numbers and the facts. Outside of Cam Newton's MVP season, Cam only has 1 playoff win. So then if you kick back and you reflect on Cam Newton and his greatness, if you want to call it that, was it an outlier or was it the norm? Going to New England, Cam Newton has to prove that his greatness wasn't in fact an outlier, but that it is in fact the norm. Cam has to remind everybody that he is in totality great. Not that he can be great, but that he is actually great. Remember, Heisman winner, national champion, #1 overall selection. However, you have 5 losing seasons to just 3 winning seasons. After you have a winning season, you go back and you win no more than 6 games. That's what the numbers show. Cam and going to New England, you'll have no excuses. You don't have any other opportunity to say, well, it was this or it was that. Now it's all on you and it all falls on Cam's shoulders. But here's what I found most interesting and here's what I found most intriguing. Quarterback since the 2010s with a minimum of 100 starts. Here's where Cam Newton falls. Right under Matt Ryan and right above Andy Dalton. Well, let's look at those 2 quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, he's a fringe Hall of Famer, maybe if he wins 1 or 2 Super Bowls. Andy Dalton is currently a backup. That's how we look at Cam Newton's career. Is Cam Newton Hall of Fame potential, or should Cam be backing somebody up? So I think that's the most telling stat, is what exactly is Cam Newton? Taking my bias away, I don't know. So Cam still has to go prove that he is exactly who I want him to be.
Good homework there. Bro.
Yes, Cam Newton has a lot that he wants to still prove. But I think you guys took more of a big picture approach to explaining what he has to prove. Let's just keep it simple. Go to his social media. Listen to the man and what he's saying and what he's doing. They didn't believe in me. They forgot about me. He's wired differently. Look at him. He is on a mission. That mission isn't based upon where he fits with Andy Dalton and Matt Ryan. That's not based upon what market he's playing in. You know what it's based upon? They gave up on him, and he don't like it, and he's going to prove you shouldn't have gave up on him. You know where it lies? They brought me in. They didn't give me the money that I wanted, but they gave me something more important than a dollar sign. They gave me a chance. I'm going to prove to you that you made the right decision. You know what the third one is? Y'all know what the third one is, because that's just the way he's wired. Cam is going to prove to Cam, whatever that is, that measurable is, that checkbox is, Cam is going to measure Cam against Cam, and that's what he has to prove right now. And that is a tremendous focus that he has. You can see it.
I only want to push back on one thing. Opportunity is not more important than money unless they ain't giving you no money. Then opportunity is. But other than that, catch me saying that, I'd be like, nah, dog, I'd rather have the money than opportunity.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. He was sitting on the couch.
Yeah, you're right.
Fellas.
And that's the problem. He went around the carousel.
All you need is a chance. All you need is a chance sometimes.
And they gave him a chance. And it's interesting that this chance does come with its set of excuses, a set of reasons why it may not work out, despite me believing in Cam and thinking he could overcome these odds. Let's be real. They don't have tremendous weapons. They need a lot of their weapons to mature and blossom and to step into a different position. And Cam is going to have to do what Cam has always done when he goes somewhere new. I told you about Blaine College the first year he won a national championship. Auburn, Heisman Trophy and national championship. First year in Carolina, NFL rookie records for passing yards, total yards, and TDs. We're going to need that Cam Newton, you know, day one Cam Newton when he gets to a new situation to show up in New England. But it's interesting, this platform, why is this going to amplify who Cam Newton is and give him the opportunity to truly blossom into, at least in our perception, the great player that we've seen before. I remember taking some courses at a junior college. This example rings true to me about Cam Newton as well. And taking those courses at a junior college, a lot of times you walk into it and you're like, it's going to be easy. It's going to be simple. I mean, what can it be? It's a junior college. All the stigma that is attached with a junior college. And I remember same textbooks that was at Columbia. And I remember not the same professors, but same level of teaching that was at Columbia. I was like, damn, junior colleges get a bad rap. They should start telling these cats that the people who study here should be respected and esteemed as much as some at other institutions. But why not?
There's a reason why they're not.
But there's a reason why they're not. And that's the situation where he has to take full advantage of. Because no matter how you explain it, New England sits there at the top of the power rankings in terms of giving you respect. It's also resurrected so many careers. I remind people, Wes Welker got cut from San Diego before he went to Miami. It was a little this, and then boom, get to New England. That can happen for a Wes Welker. What can happen for a Cam Newton?
That's real. Here's what I'm about to do, Marcellus. You know, nobody can talk about your family, but you can talk about your family because you know you love your family. I'm about to talk about Cam Newton because I love Cam Newton. And so I'm about to say some things that if I didn't already express my love for Cam Newton, they might sting a little bit. Cam Newton, and we've used this word privilege a lot, he's really benefiting from #1 overall pick privilege, if we may. Think about Cam Newton and Jadeveon Clowney, right? We've talked recently, right? Is their name bigger than their game? Cam Newton thus far, if I'm being real, taking my feelings out of it, he's almost benefiting from his name and his glory from 2015. Cam Newton, Andy Dalton came in the NFL in the same year. Andy Dalton has more touchdowns. Andy Dalton has taken less sacks. Andy Dalton has thrown for 2,000 more yards. Now, obviously, Cam as a rusher is 10 times what Andy Dalton can even dream about being. But the fact that statistically you can mention them in the same breath is almost a disgrace to Cam Newton. The fact that Andy Dalton falls right behind Cam Newton in winning percentage, it's almost a disgrace to Cam Newton. We think of Andy Dalton to a degree as a career like backup from here going forward. Yet we still think of Cam Newton as a superstar. And we still think of Cam Newton as being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. We're giving Cam Newton the benefit of the doubt. I know I am because I know of what Cam Newton is capable of. But Cam still got to go out there and show it. I don't know why you're looking at me like that, Marcellus.
I know why I'm looking at you like that.
Why?
Because as you always tell me, there's one position and one position only judged by ultimate success.
Okay.
And it's the win-loss column. It's the opportunity to get to the Super Bowl or win it all, correct?
Absolutely.
What has Andy Dalton ever done in the playoffs? That's why we look at him differently.
But
everything you said was concrete.
But rock with me.
Come on, bro.
Rock with me, because what you just said...
No fixings.
No, what you
no
just said
finishes
is
in that
perfect.
place.
Remember what I said, but I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. Outside of Cam's MVP season, outside of that...
I hate when they take your best from the year and then say, what's the rest?
But rock with me, rock with me, rock with me.
All right, let's rock.
Outside of that, Cam has one playoff win. So, yes,
Still more than Andy.
Cam was phenomenal, phenomenal in 2015. But outside, he's been in the league for 9 going on 10 years.
I mean,
So
Andy got...
Sure, but I'm saying we shouldn't speak them in the same breath. That's my point. Like, Andy is backing up a quarterback who we're still like, wait, how good is Dak Prescott? Andy's backing him up. Cam, we're still proclaiming as a Super Bowl caliber.
LeVar, Andy got the hot light on donuts, like the hot lights on donuts. That's the problem with Andy Dalton. Zero Krispy Kreme in the playoffs.
Outside of that 1 year, Cam has won.
Outside of my best, I ain't that good either.
No. Because what you tell me, you were in the NFL top 100 twice or 3 years. So if I take away the year you were ranked 40th, you were still ranked 62nd. So you can't, it was 60-something, right?
I'm going to tell you
38.
No shade.
You better chill. Ain't nobody else up here been ranked that high.
So outside of your best, you were still top tier. That Cam can't say the same.
Guys,
Damn right, I'm better than Cam.
let me put this one in front of you.
What?
Let me put this one in front of you guys.
Talk to me.
What?
It's all about perspectives, right? You guys are arguing very valid points on both sides of this. Now, perspective is saying, all those things that are being said, does Cam have anything left to prove? Which is interesting when you read it and you interpret it differently and say, can he stay healthy enough to raise the bar where what you're saying, Marcellus, is what it is. What you're saying, Acho, is what it is. Does Cam have anything left to prove? Okay? That might have went over some of y'all's heads.
I'm rocking with you.
But back up with me and look at it one more time. Does Cam have anything left to prove? I'm done.
I'm not. I love that. And I'm glad you gave us that cliffhanger. Let me catch it for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Last time we saw Cam Newton with fully functional limbs, MVP candidate. Ooh. So when you...
How many years ago? 2017?
2018. Don't do that. Disrespectful.
That's a lifetime.
6-2. 68% completion percentage, new offensive coordinator, everything. What was Andy Dalton doing in 2018? Oh, losing more than he won again. So that's why there's a perceptional gap between these two quarterbacks in terms of what is left to prove, because there's something left, at least in your imagination with Cam, because last time I saw you ready, you were ready. Coming up, Mitchell Trubisky beat out Nick Foles for the Bears job. I guess Mitchell was ready. We'll tell you if he actually earned it, though. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai City, where one of the biggest questions this NFL offseason was answered when Matt Nagy named Mitchell Trubisky the starter over Nick Foles. Going blind. Trubisky is coming off a disappointing 2019 season, which led to the Bears trading for Foles. Nagy said a shortened training camp was one of the factors against the former Super Bowl MVP. LeVar's back with us. Boo. Acho, you think Trubisky earned the starting job over Nick
Wake
Foles?
up, LeVar.
Oh, no. Wake up, Nino.
Absolutely not. I don't think so. And I'm reminded of this when I was in middle school, and you get a math assignment and you're rushing through it, you're rushing through it, you're rushing through it. You got to triple check and quadruple check your homework before you submit it, because you got to make sure you didn't get it wrong. That's what the Bears are doing with Mitch Trubisky. They are double-checking and triple-checking and even quadruple-checking Mitch Trubisky's ability, because before they submit this final grade and say, hey, world, we got Mitch wrong, they have to make sure they did everything in their power to confirm or deny that it was such. General Manager Ryan Pace, the general manager for the Bears, his life, his career is tied to the success or lack thereof of Mitch Trubisky. I'm not going to get into all the weeds, but I'm going to remind y'all of this. The Bears traded up from the pick number 3 to number 2 to draft Mitch Trubisky. Let's think about who they traded. They gave up 2 picks. One of those picks was a number 67 overall pick in that draft. Who was drafted number 67 overall? Alvin Kamara, baller. And so when you think about the Bears and everything that they have in line and everything that they have sacrificed for Mitch, they got to make sure they cross all them T's, they dot all them I's, and they make sure and ensure that Mitch is the actual problem and they are not the problem. I don't necessarily think he earned the job. But last thing I'm going to say before I toss this rock is this, and I'm glad I said toss this rock, because now I'm going to talk hoops.
Okay.
I was talking to a general manager once, fellas, and he told me it's not about who you miss on. Just make sure whoever you draft is great. I'm going to say it again. It's not about who you miss on. Just make sure whoever you draft is great. Everybody clowns Mitch Trubisky because, oh, the Bears could have drafted Patrick Mahomes. They could have drafted Deshaun Watson. But remember, Chiefs fans aren't depressed they didn't draft Deshaun Watson because they drafted Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk hoops. I believe it was the 1984 NBA draft. Michael Jordan gets taken 3rd overall. Everybody clowns Sam Bowie, who was taken number 1 by the Trailblazers, because y'all should have took Jordan. But nobody talks about the Rockets for drafting Akeem number 2, because Akeem Olajuwon was still a baller, and Akeem Olajuwon still brought them 2 chips. So it's not about who you miss, it's about who you land on. The Bears thus far, we know they didn't get Mahomes, we know they didn't get Deshaun, but they're still trying to prove to the world,
really good,
Mitch Trubisky is still a dude.
Look at you over LeVar. It's really good, Archer. You know, because all you want is affirmation. You don't want information.
Well, he just knows how to give credit when
you must, obviously, he agrees with you.
Then.
Okay, here's some information, not affirmation.
Go ahead.
I think that Mitchell Trubisky went out there, earned the job. And I think for me to sit here and say, Matt Nagy, you're lying, which Acho basically said in a lot of words, because he's like, how dare that.
Why you always lying? Matt Nagy, stop lying.
He said that, and I caught that, but here's the thing. Nick Foles has never shown that he's a guy that's going out there stealing jobs and taking jobs. Now, what Nick Foles has shown is either A, I could ride the wave of whoever's a starter, or B, you know what? If situations, someone gets hurt,
I will address this.
What? Don't you go back to that old resume.
Not the greatest eagle of all time.
So let's talk about that. 2, Matt Nagy is not attached to Mitchell Trubisky. Remember, John Fox is the one that was there when they first drafted Mitchell Trubisky. Didn't have tremendous success. He had to go. Matt Nagy comes in, and Mitch and them, they win 12 games. Mitchell starting and winning 11 of those games. So when you look at this situation, I love my boy Acho saying he didn't want to go into the weeds, so I guess he just wanted to smoke it instead, because that's how he sounded talking about this situation. You're talking about Nick Foles, who has embraced the role as a backup to the point where he could have left a year earlier to free agency, but decided, no, I just like being behind Carson Wentz. It's so cute back here, and I'm just going to champion the role of a backup. Oh, you got something to say?
If you all do not mind, LeVar, if you do not mind, I must first address any Nick Foles slanders against my religion, and it is the essence of my core.
Oh, yeah, it's the
Marcellus tried to say that Nick Foles has always rode a wave. He's never created one himself. Well, Marcellus, although you are supposed to be the renowned historian on this show, I must present to you some history.
And I'm going to use it against you.
Michael Vick, generational type of talent. 2013 had the Eagles at 3-5. Nick Foles comes in winning 7 games in a row.
Is that another wave?
Throws 8. No. How is 3-5 a wave? 3-5 is crazy.
I didn't say he was a big wave. I didn't say tsunami. I said you got on somebody else's wave.
3-5 is a ripple. That's a ripple.
A rock could create a 3-5.
Y'all thought I meant success. I mean something that somebody else started, and he has to come in to save the game. Yeah. That's how he is.
So what you're saying,
he rides waves.
So you're saying Nick
somebody else started, and then he just get in. Oh, here I go.
Saying Foles is going to come in and clean up what Trubisky does.
I'm saying his best asset is to do that, ride the wave, that whatever Mitchell creates, either that is in success and injury.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Oh, success and injury, or it's in failure. That's when you call on Nick Foles. But I'm not done, but go LeVar.
Well, I'll say I do not believe he earned the job based off of going out there on the field and earning it. And even though he wasn't, Nagy's pick, he's the number 2 pick. And we all know, Marcellus, you know this, that when the organization feels a certain type of way about a certain pick, you have to get in line, fall in line, and that includes the head coach on the decisions that he makes. Here's the biggest reason why Mitch Trubisky is still the starting quarterback going into this season, because he is the number 2 overall draft pick that they came to get and bring him there. He did have a moment of success while he was there. And to that point, if he were to fail, then you're talking about putting in Nick Foles, and that final grade for Mitchell Trubisky is going to seal his fate as a Chicago Bear. He will not be a Chicago Bear if or when Nick Foles becomes a starter. You have to give that one last opportunity, and I think that's why he's starting.
Look, I get it. We're not going to act dumb like we're not former players. If there's a tie, the tie goes to the number 2 overall pick. Except in LeVar Arrington's case, they shipped you out of town. You was number 1 overall pick.
Well, I gave money back, brother. Don't trip. I gave money back.
I know his button. I know where to push. But here's the thing.
I gave $2 million back to leave, by the way.
But LeVar, you're a baller. And Mitchell Trubisky's shown 1 year where he was a baller, and then other than that, you're kind of like, I don't know who this guy really is. But I know who Nick Foles is, because Nick Foles wanted to sit, Super Bowl MVP, wanted to sit behind Carson Wentz because it's his team, and you know what? I don't need to get paid. I'm a good guy. I love this Philadelphia city so much. And then waited a year. But then he said, you know what? I was a good guy. Now it's time to get paid. Forget all this sitting behind Carson Wentz stuff. And went to Jacksonville. What had happened was got broke up, beat down.
What had happened?
What had happened was got beat up, broke down, didn't even play well, got his job back, lost it, and then they ate the money to a 6th rounder by the name of Gardner Minshew. Nick Foles is supposed to beat out Mitchell Trubisky, a number 2 overall, but he can't beat out a 6th rounder in Jacksonville.
Will y'all please get out of here with this? On this show, Marcellus.
Gardner Minshew.
Okay, now look. What we've established, and we can all agree, is this.
What? He can't beat out Gardner.
No, what we've established is Mitch Trubisky is already getting this job because of where he was drafted. If it was a tie, which Marcellus has now said, even assuming it's a tie, Mitch is going to get the bump. But I got to address some other lies. The Jaguars have shown...
What team are you talking about?
Now I'm talking about the Jaguars, because that's where you went, and I got to go there.
Okay.
The Jaguars have shown proficiency in shipping off talented players. Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Fournette, Yannick Ngakoue. So honestly,
every team, the Patriots do that. Don't do that. That's not.
You just have to slot him in along with the other greats, Marcellus, if I may. But I digress. Go ahead.
That was simple. That was lazy. The Patriots are the kings of doing that, shipping away talent. But I know where you're trying to go. All I'm saying
is, have the talent, Marcellus.
Huh?
Leonard Fournette, don't do that.
I'm not saying they don't make mistakes in Jacksonville. Look, they let me go. No, not really. My contract expires. Here's the
Pray
point.
for him, Lord. Pray for Marcellus.
Every organization makes mistakes, but you got to be real about Nick Foles. We don't know when he's ever detonated a situation to greatness.
That's
One.
fair.
Two, if you come into a compromised offseason and during a pandemic with no preseason games and you just lost your position to a 6th-rounder in Jacksonville, doesn't sound like you have all that it takes to hit the ground running when you come to a new organization with a new playbook and a new situation. That's all I'm saying. So I understand when you see a number 2 overall pick, everyone closes their eyes and say he gonna get the job. But in this situation, I think it was actually merited.
Here's the other thing I will say in conclusion is I'm not just gonna sit here and slander Mitch Trubisky either. He was a number 2 overall pick for a reason. The dude actually has a lot of talent physically. Now the Matt Nagy has to get it out of him between the ears. I'm not gonna sit here and praise Matt Nagy and knock Mitch Trubisky. As the job of a coach, get the most out of your players. So since he was a 2nd overall pick, and since there is something to get out of there, it's up to Matt Nagy to get it out of Mitch Trubisky. Coming up, the Bucs stayed alive yesterday despite Giannis getting injured. Al, we'll tell you what to make of it all. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's move to the NBA, where the Bucs survived last night and avoided getting swept by the Heat, but they had to do it without Giannis Antetokounmpo, who re-injured his right ankle and had to leave early in the 2nd quarter. In his absence, though, Chris Middleton went crazy, scored a playoff career-high 36 points to keep Milwaukee's season alive. Joined by NBA analyst Jim Jackson, but Marcellus, kicking it off with you first. Is it a bad look for Giannis that the Bucs won Game 4 without him?
Yeah, it's a really bad look, but it's also a worse feeling. I've been in that position before when you go out there and as much as you love your guys, you want to feel that impact. You want to feel like you're the difference maker. So even when you're sidelined, it's this mixed bag of emotions. I'm going to be raw up here and be real because I've been in this position before. I remember being a San Diego Charger and then finally had to find myself in Dallas. And I would look back at that team that was 4-12 when I was there, and I was like, damn, how come we couldn't fix it? And then I look back to the next year as a Dallas Cowboy, they were 12-4. And I'm sitting there like, damn, I love those guys, but I love me even more. So it's a situation where Giannis finds themselves emotionally like at a crossroads of, hey, am I sucking all the air out of the ball, out of the team when I'm on the court? Or you guys need to give me more even when I'm in your presence on this court with you. So that's the mind games going on right now, where Giannis knows, and every evaluator knows, that this team is no better without Giannis. However, a casual fan will sit there and make a lazy assumption and say, hey, they may be better without you, Giannis, and that's what he's conflicted with.
Like Nick Foles, gentlemen, I don't agree in slandering Nigerians, and although they call him a Greek freak, he's Giannis Ugo Antetokounmpo. I don't agree with slandering him, but it's facts over feelings. It's not a bad look that the Bucs won. It's a bad look how the Bucs won. Late last week, Friday, Thursday, everybody was debating, is Giannis a Jordan or is Giannis a Pippen? Is Giannis a Batman or is Giannis a Robin? Those who sided on the fact that Giannis is both a Jordan and a Batman, their argument was this: maybe it's Chris Middleton's fault. Maybe Giannis doesn't have a good enough Pippen to his Jordan. Maybe Giannis doesn't have a good enough Robin to his Batman. But then Giannis got hurt, and Chris Middleton had a playoff career high. Then Giannis got hurt, and Chris Middleton hit a three-pointer with 6 seconds left to cut the lead up by 4 instead of just being up by 1. But then Giannis got hurt, and Chris Middleton went 9 for 9 from the stripe. Something Giannis could only dream of doing. But then Giannis got hurt, and Chris Middleton hit 2 free throws to seal the game. But then Giannis got hurt, and we found out that maybe Chris Middleton is actually an adequate Pippen. And if he is an adequate Pippen, then who is the inadequate Jordan? If he is an adequate Robin, then who is an inadequate Batman? So it's not a bad look that the Bucs won. If the Bucs won because the Heat laid down, if the Bucs won because they just miraculously got hot, then not a bad look at all. And I'm not sitting here ludicrously saying that the Bucks are a better team without Giannis. No. But in that instance, in that moment, the Bucks are a far better team in that instance, because what has Giannis proven over this series and beyond, that he's not necessarily clutch in clutch moments. Giannis shoots 41% from the stripe in the fourth quarter. Not my opinion. These are stats. Giannis, when the game is on the line and the Heat, they just stack the paint, Giannis can't score off the dribble. Chris Middleton, on the other hand, showed when the going got tough, he got going. So, in conclusion, I'm not tripping that the Bucks won, and I'm not going to say it's a bad look for Giannis that they won. But you got to look in the details, because like Marcellus says, that's where the devil lies, and it's how the Bucks won. Go ahead.
That
was strong, though.
Let me help both of you out.
Okay.
For this, okay? It's not a bad look because the Bucks were 5-5 when Giannis was out during the season. Okay, the Bucks are who they are. Two things happen. When Giannis leaves the game, all of a sudden, Miami, they let their guard down because Giannis is out the game.
Right.
Jimmy Butler admitted it. So that has to factor in. Second, the Bucks are going to play totally different when Giannis is not in the game. The floor is going to be more open. The ball's going to move side to side. You're going to have more middle drive penetrations for kickouts, okay? So the game flow totally different. Now, they're supposed to be able to win a game without Giannis. They were one of the best teams they were the best team in the Eastern Conference, one of the best overall. So they should be able to win a game. They have the makings of the bodies, the personnel, with Bledsoe, with Middleton, with Lopez, to be able to win a basketball game. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm not surprised that they were able to win it. Now, long term, there's no way they're going to be able to beat the Miami Heat without Giannis. Would it be competitive? Would it be a different series? Yeah. Of course it will be. But then evenly matched up, you still give the edge to Miami. Giannis is a different animal. He's still growing. Keep in mind, Jordan had his struggle, okay, before that team was rounded out and it made sense. It took him 7 years to finally get to where he needed to get to in his career. It doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of times we forget how long it took LeBron to get to his final analogy. Keep in mind, we talk about LeBron being in the Eastern Conference. He should dominate. And he should do this. Well, so should Giannis. The Eastern Conference is a little bit different. It's a little bit tougher right now with Boston, with Toronto, with Indiana. It's some teams that are a lot better than when LeBron kind of made his run. He's still young. This team is still evolving. We want to have Giannis to have his game complete now. It's not there. It was a one win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's see if they can do it again with or without Giannis.
Man, Acho took me some places, and Jimmy, you went all the way there. I was just talking about the casual fan being general. I didn't know Acho was going to raise his hand and say, no, I'm the casual fan that thinks that this team could win without Giannis. I mean, look.
I didn't say they could.
You made a great argument for that casual fan, but I'm going to be real. There's two things that are true in this series, that Milwaukee will not beat the Heat without Giannis. And Milwaukee will not beat the Heat with Giannis. They're not beating the Heat. So let's not do this. And then Chris Middleton, how dare you go out there and out of 43 career playoff games, have your best game in this moment to now reignite that conversation. Is Giannis a Batman or Robin, Jordan or Pippen? Unfortunate for Giannis in this situation because track and field. You know where I'm going, Acho, in the relay.
Talk to me.
And, you know, you got your relay team, and you're like, we got our 4 guys slotted. And then our best player, our anchor leg, our anchor runner is not in there. And everyone's like, oh, man, here we go. But what Giannis saw was that Chris Middleton, who normally gives you A, went to this level and PR'd and made them have a better relay split and relay time. And everybody's sitting there saying, could this be a better team? There's no way possible this could be a better team without him. All it highlighted was the fact that Chris Middleton defers too much or is not playing up to that level when Giannis is on the court.
So that's the point. Again, and I'm not sitting here saying that...
Chris.
The ending of what you said, Marcellus, I wholeheartedly agree with.
Okay.
And, Jim, although you look phenomenal and you tried to outdress both Marcellus and I, you're still wrong, sir.
And he won.
Marcellus, you have to keep in mind, if Giannis being on the team is mitigating the ability of Chris Middleton, who is an all-star, to excel, then doesn't that hurt the totality of the team? Now, the Bucks are a better team with Giannis. Let's make Lost my pen. Let's make that abundantly and overtly clear. The Bucks are a better team with Giannis. The Bucks aren't winning this series with Giannis. The Bucks are not winning this series without Giannis. Again, what Jim Jackson said, which I totally agree with, is the game plan changed. The Heat already had a game plan to stop Giannis. When Giannis goes out the game, they didn't adjust fast enough. We've seen this across multiple sports. But what I'm saying is, if Chris Middleton's ability to dominate in the clutch is dampened because of Giannis being on the court, we have to take that into consideration. Let's talk ball because we all up here talking ball. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. The Bucks are up 113-112 last night. Clock's winding down in overtime. If Giannis was on the court, Giannis would have had the ball. Best case scenario, Giannis scores. It's still a one-possession game, being 115-112. More realistic scenario, Giannis gets fouled, statistically proving he was only going to make one free throw. Now it's a two-point game. Giannis isn't on the court. So now whose hands is the ball in? Chris Middleton. He hits the three. Now it isn't even a one-possession game because now it's a four-point game. So if we just want to talk hoops, if we want to talk analysis, if we want to talk data, even if Giannis is on the court, the Bucks have a lesser chance of winning than with Giannis being off the court. So it's not a good look that Giannis was out the court and the Bucks still won the game. It's just not a good look.
Well, I think, but here's the thing, though. Keep in mind, this is a bad matchup for Milwaukee, cut and dry. Okay? The Miami Heat are a bad matchup. If this was another team, I don't think we'll be having the same conversation because I don't think the Bucks will be in this situation. The Miami Heat present different problems and different complications for this Milwaukee offense. Keep in mind, when LeBron was with Kyrie, LeBron wasn't a great free throw shooter, especially late in the game. Kyrie was able to take some big shots, knock down the big three, settle the score, so to speak. He was that Robin to LeBron's Batman. With Milwaukee, keep in mind, we saw Chris Middleton go one-on-one against a Miami Heat team that didn't strategize to stop him. If you put Chris Middleton in that pilot seat, that 1A seat, guess what? The defensive game plan changes, and they're going to take the ball out of his hand. So he won't be kind of the same player we saw at the end of the game yesterday because the game plan wasn't skewed to get the ball out of Chris Middleton's hand. We just saw a small snippet of what he could do in a playoff scenario.
Jim,
he was still averaging 22, 23 points a game.
Let me ask you that.
Before Giannis was out.
But doesn't that now beg the question, based on what you're saying, that Giannis actually limits Chris Middleton's ability instead of enhancing Chris Middleton's ability when LeBron, a gentleman you just spoke of, he enhances the talent of those around him, whether it be Kyrie, whether it be K-Love, whether it be AD, whether it be D-Wade. Isn't that an indictment on Giannis based on what you're saying if Chris Middleton is better without him than he is with him?
No, because prime example. Chris Bosh and also Kevin Love were two guys that were mitigated by LeBron. Yes, they were able to play a certain role, but they weren't the same. Look, Chris Bosh was a 2010 guy. So was Kevin Love. But those got diminished a little bit because of LeBron. Now, Kyrie was a different animal. Kyrie was built a different way. You had to give him his space, and LeBron knew that. Are we saying that Chris Middleton is like that? Could he be? He probably could be. But that's an adjustment the coaching staff has to make. Because during the course of the season, when Giannis was out due to injury or whatever it may be, Chris Middleton always stepped up. He always put himself in that position. So what the Milwaukee coaching staff has to do is not be so stringent and figure out ways, even when Giannis is there, that Chris Middleton has the opportunity to play off of him, but also put the ball in his hand. The question or problem is, where do you put Giannis in the offense if Chris has the ball? Because you can't spread them out because guys are going to help off of them. You put them in the post a little bit, now you take away some driving lane. That's the creativity factor that the Bucks coaching staff have to come up with to really utilize, I think, the talents and the skill set that Chris Middleton had.
Yeah, this is one of the things they used to call the Kobe effect, where teammates would just sit there and watch or defer or sit there and reverence, and then Kobe's like, hey, well, y'all play up to your level so that we can add all of this, be greater than the sum of our parts. Pau Gasol found that out the hard way in terms of that. And LeBron and D-Wade, look, say what you want about them. When they first got together, it was the #1 and #3 player in the world. Dwayne Wade, every single year, was starting to hit decline. Some said because of age, but others said because he's with LeBron. So LeBron has not even been absent of this same type of criticism. The real thing going on right here is people are trying to see if Giannis is a A or B, Jordan or Pippen. But with Chris Middleton, they're really trying to see, is he a Pippen or is he just Chris Middleton? And then for one game, he shows us that he's Pippen, and then that is going to now catch fire. We need to relax and realize this team has its limitations, and they're going to have to look forward to have success, because in this series, I think it's a wrap. Coming up in our big story, the Lakers tied their series up with the Rockets last night, but they left more questions than answers. That's nuts. You want to think for yourself, Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho with a mouthful of what you over there eating between breaks, bro?
Can I stay hydrated? Okay.
Oh, why you chewing it? All right, whatever. That's my dog right there, Acho. Let's get it started with our big story presented by Hyundai. Let's move on to the Lakers, who beat the Rockets last night to tie up the series 1-1. But it wasn't easy. L.A. was up big early on, but were outscored 41-23 in the third quarter. But the Lakers still got the win behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis's combined 62-point game performance. So, Acho, despite the win, are you worried about the Lakers this series?
Man, I am worried. I am, but here's why. I got to tell on myself. I'm a little bit of a worrier. I'm a pessimist. Remember, I'm the one who was worried about the Lakers after they lost to Portland game 1. Nick Wright. I don't always agree with Nick Wright, but when he talks basketball, my ears perk up. And he said something which I agree with this morning. He said, even if the Lakers play their A game, the Houston Rockets are the one team remaining in the playoffs that can still beat them when they play their A game. It got me thinking. Yesterday, the Lakers bench went crazy. Morris came in and had 12 points in 3 minutes.
Yeah, quick.
Rondo
Threes.
plus 28.
Yeah.
Caruso, I think Kuzma. He still gave you 13. So the Lakers bench did their thing, and yet the Lakers were trailing going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, yo, what's really good, Marcellus? Like the Lakers are balling, and somehow they're still losing. I thought about it like this. Again, I told y'all, my vice is a casino. I play blackjack. Marcellus, if I'm sitting at the blackjack table, bruh, and I'm getting dealt these cards, and I get blackjack after blackjack after blackjack.
You better go.
After I better be up a couple hundred, if not $1,000 by the end of that round, by the end of that shoe. That's what they call it in the casino.
Okay.
The Lakers hit blackjack after blackjack after blackjack after blackjack, because Morris hit 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 in 3 minutes, and yet you looked up after 3 quarters and y'all was still trailing by 2. Mind you, I haven't even got to the fact that Russell Westbrook was a covert operative last night playing for the Lakers. Like, I ain't even got to that fact. Russ was the only Rocket in the negatives as far as plus minus. So am I worried as a Laker fan? Yes, in part because I'm a worrier, but also in part because Frank Vogel, stop trying to fight fire with fire. You're trying to play small against small. Your best small player is chilling outside the bubble in Avery Bradley. So play your bigs. How come Dwight gets no minutes and JaVale gets 8 after getting hurt? That doesn't make sense. Frank Vogel, February 6th, the Rockets rolled out small ball. You saw it firsthand. You saw it first. You tried to play small with their small. Well, guess what? They're better playing small than you. So I'm worried because Frank Vogel got me worried, and I'm worried because them Rockets, when they get hot, they get hot.
Yeah, I see some cracks in the Lakers, and I'm glad you termed it, even when they're at their best, they're still not undefeated in your mind. You can imagine a scenario in which the Rockets can go out there and beat the best version of the Lakers. And that's interesting because the best version of the Rockets is not just them hitting the threes. It's not just them going out there and say, make your bigs chase our littles. It's the fact that they take care of the basketball. 4-0 in the playoffs this year when they keep the turnovers under 14. And these 2 games, it's been 16-17. So even though they've won 1 game and split with the Lakers, they still not are living to their mantra, which is protect the ball, because you got to think about how they should lose the rebounding edge every single game because they're playing small ball. Despite ricochet rebounds, despite that 80% of the rebounds are under the rim, despite that there are a lot of long rebounds, you look at this team and they're supposed to get pounded in the paint and pounded on the boards. But the most important metric for me is looking at them take care of the basketball. And Russell Westbrook, my God. Russell Westbrook went out there. What was his quote after the game? Quote, right now, I'm just running around. Never heard this post game. So I got to look at film and figure out how to be effective. Yeah, that part. If Russell Westbrook can just be consistently good to great as he is and protect the basketball, Lakers do have some problems. Let's bring in Fox and the NBA analyst, Slick Rick Dubuquer. What's some of this genius, Slick Rick? Despite the win, you worried about the Lakers this series?
I'm certainly worried about my prediction that the Lakers would win in 5. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I'm also, yes, legitimately worried. I still believe that the Lakers will win the series. But is it possible that they would lose it? For sure, based on a lot of what you guys have already said, particularly Acho. It wasn't just that they were trailing going into the fourth quarter, but with a minute and a half left, it was still a 2-possession game. And so it was right there for the taking for the Rockets, and they simply couldn't make open threes. What really scares me is when I look at the dynamics of this win for the Lakers. Number one, they got incredibly efficient games from not 1, not 2, but 3 guys in Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo, and Markieff Morris. Those guys were a collective 16 for 24 shooting, 6 for 11 from threes, and only 5 turnovers. Meanwhile, the other 3 from the other side, Russ Westbrook, Jeff Green, Austin Rivers, a combined 4 for 19, 1 for 10 from threes, and 10 turnovers. The law of averages says those numbers will not stay the same. I don't know whether the Rockets 3, it's not like I look at them and say they're definitively better than the Lakers 3 in this dynamic, but are they going to be that bad, and are the Lakers 3 going to be that good? I can't expect that that is going to be the law of averages and how it's going to work out. And the fact that it was a 2-possession game, in spite of all that, says to me that the Rockets have the capability, on top of the fact that they were not daunted by falling behind as far as they did. I mean, they got run in the first quarter. It was still a big deficit at halftime, and they just said, you know what? We just got to keep shooting threes. Eventually, we'll get back into it. And you saw the Lakers get a little itchy, a little nervous once that happened.
Here's the other thing to expound on your point, Slick, and to further detail what I was mentioning earlier. The Lakers, on average, I think their average starting lineup height is about 4.5 or so inches taller than the Rockets. Marcellus, he touched on this as well. The Rockets, since acquiring Covington and going small ball, they get out-rebounded by 9.3 rebounds a game. So if you're going to get damaged, if you're going to get bludgeoned by the Rockets from 3, you better bludgeon back, and you better bludgeon back on the boards. Yet the Lakers are only out-rebounding the Rockets by 3 boards a game. So now the Rockets are both having their cake and eating it too. That is problematic. You can't sit here and let the Rockets run up and down. And like LeBron said, LeBron's words, not mine, their speed you can't practice against. It's like nothing you've ever seen. You can't have the Rockets be able to both sprint with you and then be able to lift with you. Marcellus, you play football, I play football, we all play ball. Big people beat up little people. When you get on the field, you do know something. I'm not about to catch that running back. I realize that. He might be faster than you as a defensive end. He might be quicker. But you know this. If he's trying to pass protect against you, you're running him right over. You cannot let the Rockets both outrun you and then play big bully ball with you. And the Lakers are sitting there toying with them. The Lakers are playing it down to the Rockets instead of making the Rockets play up to them, both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, one thing that we're not considering is the endurance necessary in this matchup where we're talking about going the long haul. If it goes past 5, Slick Rick, how that's going to be advantage Rockets over the Lakers. I'll tell you why. Because they're not being out physical. Like, when we talk about this matchup, you think of the David versus Goliath, and then Goliath has to slam down, as Acho just said, be more physical, wear him down, run him over. That's not happening in this matchup. So as nature is the great equalizer, and as I'm a big man, let me tell you what we don't like about little men, how they can run you around in circles and fatigue you. And fatigue makes a coward of all men.
Say that one again,
Fatigue makes a coward of all men. I don't give a damn how big I am. If I got to close out on one more of those threes in the 5th, 6th, 7th game, am I closing out with any velocity, with any intention? I think this series, the longer it goes, there's an advantage to the Rockets playing small ball. Russell Westbrook, as crazy as he is and out of control as he is, when the lights turn on, he is ready. That Energizer Bunny has his batteries in his pack. I don't know if the Lakers want to go a long haul with them, so they need to fix their issues and fix them fast.
Yeah, there was a couple of other ramifications from Game 2, and that's the fact that JaVale McGee sprained his ankle celebrating, apparently, a LeBron James dunk. that ability to play big now is in jeopardy, because the difficulty, to Marcellus's point, is you can put Dwight Howard out there, but if he's going to get run around at one end and then he's clogging the lane at the other because he can't step out and hit a jump shot, then that's going to complicate things on two levels. The one thing about JaVale McGee as a big is he's still agile and quick, and you can use him in pick and roll, and he can still be effective. The other thing I saw was LeBron James looked gassed at the end of that game. I know he hit a couple big shots, but he looked fatigued. And if I'm banking on Russell Westbrook being able to maintain his energy, or LeBron James at 35 having to play this style, as much as Russ is erratic, I'm probably going to bank on Russ not having another performance like he had.
It's going to be interesting to see what the King and the Lakers cook up going forward, because they're going to need some of those power pellets. I know I did as a big man. Coming up, Deshaun Watson just got a huge new deal. We'll tell you if he could have done a little better next. Speak for Yourself is presented by...
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson, who signed a mega deal with the Texans over the weekend. But the deal is worth 4 years. That's an extension. It's a 4-year extension for $156 million, which only trails Patrick Mahomes. Watson's $39 million a year makes him the highest paid per season in that time frame. LeVar, it's good to have you back with us. I'm going to let bygones be
Y'all some
bygones.
cold-blooded haters, man. Boy, I tell you.
Hate.
The people behind the scenes, the people on stage, y'all just some cold-blooded
Haters ball.
Marcellus, let's get to it, man. Is this a good deal for Deshaun Watson?
It was a good deal for Deshaun, but it wasn't a great deal. And I expected greatness out of Deshaun and out of our boy, David Mulugeta. Did I say that right?
You said it right. You said it right.
Look at me over here saying, you got $156 million added to your contract, and that ain't good enough. But damn it, I'm going to say it is good enough. It ain't great enough. Oh, I love math. I told you guys I was a mathematician called by 2 or 3 teachers. I don't remember their names. Hey. But they said Marcellus took a keen interest to math, and I told you why. Because math has no feelings and it tells no lies. Forget all that English stuff. Y'all got rhetoric, conjecture, move. I like the simple math, so let's just call it and say it like it is. This was a 4-year extension at $156 million, $39 per year. That sounds amazing. Until you really look at it from present day to future value, and you start to realize, oh, it's a real 6-year, $175.9 million deal. What does that add up to, Acho? I hate to say it. $29.3 million per year. That's under the Mendoza line for starting quarterbacks of this level. To me, you got to at least get 30. You're not making 30 per going forward for the next 6 years. Patrick Mahomes signed a similar deal, and I think this deal is kind of in the Patrick Mahomes-y world of 10 years, $450 million. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's $45 million per year. Give it to him. Until you really do your homework and you say, oh, it's actually 12 at 477.6, 39.8. Wait a minute, what is going on? Let me tell you what's going on. The pandemic effect is going on. These teams are making these deals team-friendly, in part by telling these players, it seems like, we don't know what's going to happen after the new CBA. We don't know what the cap's going to look like, so you better get your money now. It's kind of hard for me to see an organization that has billions in the bank talking about, oh, we are going to come up on hard times. Kind of how the Lakers were out there, you know, getting those PPP small business loans, despite the fact that they're the damn Los Angeles Lakers. This is something that is making me scratch my head in terms of why are these players not signing for the anticipated amount? Not good deals, but great deals. But I'd love to hear you guys try to spell this out.
Marcellus, this is, in fact, a great deal. Deshaun Watson's deal was a great deal, and I'm going to tell y'all something that y'all should steal and use. Figures don't lie, but liars figure. And Marcellus, sir, you, my friend, are lying about
figure and liar.
Think about this.
That sounds like something.
Think about this for a second. Everybody says, well, Deshaun Watson, you have to divvy up his contract by all 6 years. That don't make no sense. His rookie deal was already slotted. Furthermore, Deshaun Watson, when you really think about what he's accomplished, dude has accomplished a lot, absolutely, but he hasn't won an MVP. Dude doesn't have an MVP vote, and yet he still reset the quarterback market by $4 million when you're looking at 4 years contracts. I'm not addressing Patrick Mahomes' 10-year outlier contract because those numbers get funny and those numbers get finicky. But let's talk about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's 4-year average, $35 million. That was more than Jared Goff. That was more than Carson Wentz. Russell Wilson had set the standard. Russell Wilson also been to 2 Super Bowls, one of which he won. Deshaun Watson plays for 3 seasons, tears his ACL in one of those seasons, yet still hits for $111 million guaranteed. I know what a lot of people will say, because Marcellus, you say it a lot. Well, Dak Prescott, he's going to go out-earn Deshaun Watson.
He is.
Sure, but let's think about this for a second. Dak Prescott's first 4 years in the NFL, he would have made $2.7 million. Deshaun Watson's first 4 years in the NFL, he will have made $40 million. So if we're going to project and look at the future, let's also look about the past. Because what you're saying would be as ludicrous as adding in somebody's college years and saying, well, if you factor in the last 10 years and we divvy up by when they were in college, when they weren't allowed to make money, that would also reduce the current value of their money. So you can't factor in what Deshaun Watson's rookie deal was supposed to be to undermine how much money Deshaun Watson has made or how great a deal Deshaun Watson did, in fact, get.
Oh, I'm about to come attack that. Go get him, LeVar.
I thought it was an excellent deal. And here's why. I look at athletes that are aspiring to be pro athletes as their own corporate entities, their companies, their corporations. If you are fortunate enough to do business well enough, you go public. That's you getting drafted. You get your stocks bought, and they get bought at a certain price. Now it's slotted because you're a rookie contract slotted company that went public. Well, he's coming out of that, and now he's going into Series A, second round of fundraising, right? Deshaun Watson has come up. There is no reason to sit there and say, oh, well, he needed to get a better deal, or he needed to wait a little while longer to get a better deal. Why? He's a corporation. Sell some of them stocks off. You know what? Our ultimate goal, whether it is the greatest contract or it is just a really good contract, is to establish economic freedom, all right? So he has done that with this deal. And we can split hairs on how much this, could have costed him or how much he could have gotten or how it compares to other quarterbacks that are out there on the market. But this is considered on the market the top 2 contract for a quarterback at his position. That's fact stated. So from here on out, he's playing with house money. As he goes forward, it's a 4-year deal. Maybe year 3, he redoes it and gives up a little bit more stock and collects a little bit more cash on it. But I don't think that it should be judged as a bad deal at all. I think it's extraordinary that he's coming to a situation where he's being respected for what he's brought to the table and what they believe he can do.
Thank God my microphone is on my suit jacket and not in my head, because I am cursing y'all both out in this situation. If you ever say getting drafted in the NFL is like going public, you obviously do not know what the stock market and an IPO is about. You're not slotted when you go public.
No, you're not.
You're slotted when you're drafted.
In this case, you are.
You're slotted. You're slotted when you're drafted. Let's not even go there. They're apples and oranges. Leave that alone. All right. I'm saying right now, today, we both can get paid. So let's stay in your example of economics and in terms of investment.
And I got a C in micro-econ. Okay, chill. Chill.
I even take econ, so I know I'm about to mess it up. But here's the real. There's a stop loss in terms of what you can do in any investment, any stock. You can say, look, it can't hit this number. Hit that number, stop. Get me out, right? In this situation, we know what this looks like in terms of where is Deshaun Watson going to be bracketed. At least you should be thinking this if you're representing them. Patrick Mahomes is like, all right, that's the ceiling.
Out of there.
And we ain't going to touch it. It's just real. You got those ceilings that you look at, but you can't touch. But then there needs to be a floor that, I don't need to be lying completely flat on this floor. And that is Dak Prescott being real, because he's the next man up that is comparable. So in that situation, if I'm representing Deshaun, I'm sitting there trying to say why Deshaun is more valuable. Even if our numbers are comparable, he's just more of a value. You took away his greatest weapon this offseason on top of everything else. I would think that he would get that bump, because what Dak is anticipating and is on pace to do is to leapfrog Deshaun without much effort. And that's why I say it's a good deal, because like you said, LeVar, he got paid. He got $110 million. If he gets a hangnail, he's still getting that. I love all of this, and please don't take this as slights. I love all parties involved. However, if it were Marcellus Wiley, or better yet, my son, I'm sitting there like, man, Kirk Cousins rolled the dice and got more than every single quarterback in the league the last 4 years, and then Dak is going to go out there and be the same, if not lesser than you, and going to pass you up as well. I just can't go to sleep at night thinking that.
Here's the difference.
It's a hypothetical.
Yeah, you're right.
We got to factor all things into this conversation. Sure, bet on you, but remember, if your rookie year, you tear your ACL. And then your third year, you can re-up. And instead of making $10 million, which Deshaun was supposed to make this year, either 8 or 10, you now make 30?
He doesn't make that, no.
What did this year? This year he's about to make 30. And then next year drops off.
No. It's with the bonus of 7, and then you add it up, it's going to be 10 and 15 the next 2 years. You got a 6-year, $175 million deal.
Here's what we know.
That's not it.
Here's what we know.
29 points.
By 2025, and when you're talking new money, Deshaun will have made more than Mahomes and now has the opportunity to re-up again. You're the one who says Mahomes' deal isn't great. I agree with you.
What year did you say?
Yes,
by 2025. By 2025,
he's going to be a free agent in 2026.
Yes. And then Deshaun will have the opportunity to re-up. So now, not only can you hit, you can re-up again and hit, whereas Mahomes is still going to be sitting there trying to renegotiate his own contract. So the only argument you have, but ladies and gentlemen, the only argument Marcellus has to say that this was not a good deal is, A, that Deshaun Watson is tied to Bill O'Brien for several more years. That really is your strongest argument. Or B, if you want to say Deshaun should have played it out, taken the risk, become a free agent, which Dak Prescott is. That is the big elephant in the room that we and Marcellus is ignoring right now, is the fact that Dak played 4 years and stayed healthy. Deshaun Watson said, you know what? I'm not going to take that risk. I'm going to go ahead and cash in and then go cash in again.
All I'm saying is this is what can happen and probably will happen. And this is saying Dak is going to get 35 a year. Oh, my God. They're going to be free agents, let's say in 2026, the same class, because that's where Deshaun is going to be a free agent next, 2026. He would have made $175.9 million. If Dak just makes 35, which is already offered, that's what James Slater said, 210? Dak Prescott is going to get 210 and be at the free agent mark the same time as Deshaun Watson.
Hypothetical.
And, look, okay, I'm going to end it with this.
Fantasy land, y'all.
I had a teammate that was better than me, Pat Williams, and he took the earlier deal and got 3 years, 13. I waited 1 year and got 6 years and 40. Y'all keep talking this hypothetical to me. I'm throwing them dice on it.
Still hypothetical.
And Pat was better than me, dog. Coming up, Juju Smith-Schuster was called out by a Steelers legend on social media for being too active on social media. We gotta explain this one next. Oh, man.
My guy. My question of the day.
Oh, he's back. Our social media manager, Darnell Smith, is in the building. Baby fat and all, I see you on the side for the question of the day. Hey, big dog, what you got?
Man, it feels good to be back. I'm feeling like MJ back in 95.
Oh, really?
Let's get straight to it, man.
More like 01, out of shape. Keep going.
Let's talk about Juju Smith-Schuster, who was coming off career lows all across the board last season.
Yeah.
A fan suggested on Twitter that the Steelers should trade him for a high draft pick. Well, Steelers legend Rod Woodson agreed and even took it further, tweeting out, quote, seriously, you can get a #1 draft pick from Juju. All he wants to do is be on social media. So, Marcellus, big dog, I'm going to start it off with you. Are you okay with Woodson calling out Juju Smith-Schuster about his social media addiction on social media, no less?
Yeah, I actually am okay with it. Even though it's a perception play, which I usually hate, I'm okay with this one because let's preface this all by saying everyone had one question about Juju, especially when Antonio Brown left. Is he a true #1 wide receiver? And those same people who asked that question are still trying to answer that question. But my man Rod Woodson is talking in code, and I'm going to tell you what kind of code he's talking in. It's players code, players speak. He's keeping it 99, so let me keep it 100 for y'all.
100 in, big dog.
Nobody gives a damn what you do until you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Y'all catch that? No one cares what you're doing until you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I remember this in my own career. The day I got drafted, the first thing I bought was not a car, was not my mama's house, or none of that, was some DJ equipment, because I love to DJ, and I was like, finally, I got my money. I went out there, pioneered up, and I DJ'd huge events for the NFL, for our owners, for Outkast, Kanye West, DJing as I climbed that hill, DJing, Pro Bowls, All Pro, DJing. And as soon as them numbers started to do this, why that dude always distracted by DJing? I was like, wait a minute. I made my game and my name off of DJing along with production. What Rod is trying to say basically is the dude ain't producing like we think, like we anticipate, so now the social media becomes the problem. It's only a problem when you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Look, I'm about to sound like a hater.
Ooh.
And it's because I'm hating. Okay, full screen, Prince, Acho in the building. Look at Juju, right? Juju on IG. My dog has 3 million followers. On Twitter, 1 million followers. On YouTube, 1 million subscribers. He is on pace to be a Hall of Fame social media candidate.
Yeah.
But on the field, we still trying to figure out if Juju's a number one. You see, the problem is Juju balling on social, but on the field, he been struggling, declining the last 3 years as far as catch rate, catch percentage. We know when he was with AB and he was at number 2 - number 1, dude, Juju went crazy.
Juju.
But now, a little bit hurt, a little bit nicked up. We just don't know how good Juju is. I always pause and I think about, when I'm thinking about somebody's greatness, gentlemen, I always ask myself, what's the first thing that come to mind? Okay, I think about Michael Jordan. I think about Game 6. I think about the Jazz. I think about Dirk, because I'm from Dallas, hoisting up the trophy. I think about Juju. His bike got stolen. And he was tweeting about his bike getting stolen. So, like, when you think about somebody, where do you go first? Juju, I think about the social media presence. Is Juju a baller? He balled. We've seen that. Is Juju a number one? Until he proves that he is an elite number one, people going to hate on him like Rod Woodson did, and I don't knock Rod Woodson for it, and you can't knock Rod Woodson because he's an all-time great.
He did it. He did it. Look, it's funny that I remember when he had a concussion and he would miss the game or whatever and was going 100 miles an hour and videotaping it on social. I'm like, Juju can't do that. He obviously apologized and know that that was reckless. But the conversation really is direct. And Rod Woodson didn't want to go there because Juju can shut us all up this year. But the real is, are you Juju or doo-doo? And that's messed up because Juju is much better than that, but that's just how the game goes, big dog.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's move on to Lamar Jackson. He tore up the NFL last season with the most rushing yards ever by a quarterback, on a way to being a unanimous pick as the league's MVP. If you're worried about a repeat performance, his teammates, they got full confidence. Tight end Mark Andrews said, quote, I think you're going to see an even more polished and even more ready Lamar than you saw last year. So, big bro Marcellus.
Yes.
Are you worried the NFL catches up to Lamar this year?
Not at all. His mindset and what he subscribes to in terms of culture. You know the Florida boys, how they grind. It's just grind gang in Florida. Ocho Cinco comes to mind, Ray Lewis, A.B., Prime Time. Like, those guys just go out there and grind. And I love his mindset because he comes into this offseason as he's training, and they said, Lamar, you know, everybody's going to have a target on you. What you going to do? He's like, just like they're trying to prepare for me, I'm preparing for them as well. And that's the mindset you got to have, because as we're trying to predict what's his future behavior, what's the best indicator of that? Past behavior. Let's go to his past and talk about how in college, the youngest ever to win the Heisman, true sophomore out there. And then every single year, you talk about his 3 years in college, got better in completions, attempts, completion percentage, yards thrown, rushing yards. Make an argument that his junior year was better, but the team lost more games. So I'm looking at a guy who's just is ready for that moment, has always showed up for that moment, and then responded after being outstanding in the moment. So this is a guy I'm never going to bet against.
Here is my fear, Marcellus. Let me start with this. In the NFL, you know better than anybody else watching this, or even me sitting here, you only got 4 or 5 days to prepare for an opponent. You play on Sunday. Monday or Tuesday's your off day, depending on what team you're on. Wednesday, Thursday, grueling practice. Friday, you got to walk through. Saturday, you travel after another quick walkthrough or run through, depending on the team. That's 5 days. Schematically, you don't have time to prepare for Lamar Jackson as opposed to now. You got over 5 months. I think some defenses will catch up. But here's what I want to pinpoint on, and this might not necessarily speak to Lamar, but it speaks to the quote you just said. if your indication of future success is past behavior, then I have some unfortunate news for you. Full screen.
Oh, the Prince is here.
MVPs since 2014. Let's look at how many touchdowns they had in their MVP season versus the following season. 14, Aaron Rodgers, he declined by 8. Cam Newton, he declines by 19. Matt Ryan, he declines by 18. Tom Brady, thankfully, he only declines by 1. But then Patrick Mahomes, he declines by another 14 if I do my math right. But I might be tripping and it might be 24. With that being said, the stats show that the past behavior of MVPs, whether it's injury, whether they're feeling themselves, or in this situation, more likely than not, hopefully, because I never want Lamar to get hurt ever in his career, defenses might catch up. If past behavior is an indication of future success, then this has me a little bit worried about Lamar. Not necessarily that he won't progress, but I think defenses will progress at a faster clip.
I like that, because if we get into that meeting room, we can beat you down no matter how great you are. But the great ones, and think about all the great quarterbacks we faced already, like sustained excellence. They adjust to our adjustments. Like
good.
We move, and then they're like, oh, that's where you want to go? Well, here I come. And I think that Lamar just seems like his acumen, his intention, his ability is going to put him in position to succeed in that. Now, I don't have a full screen for you on this one.
What you got there, Marcel?
I got a new one.
You taking a day off?
No, I'm trying a new segment. It probably ain't going to work. It's called Fun Fact. You know? You want a fun fact right here? Acho, how many guys in NFL history have won a Heisman Trophy and an NFL MVP?
Cam Newton. Adrian Peterson. I'm going to say Cam.
Cam and Paul Hornung. You got to ask my daddy.
I wasn't going to get Paul no way.
My point is, this dude is in such rare air, and maybe he's breathing something different than us, than the obvious, than the average, than typical defenses. I just don't want to bottle him up, because I watched him in Louisville. I watched him every single year even get better despite all the attention. Then you watch him come in his rookie year, not even supposed to start, comes off the bench, saves a franchise, saves his coach's job, comes the next year, wins the MVP. That trajectory of greatness, I don't think it's going to get interrupted.
Let's talk trajectories. You made the comparison, so I'm going to go in on the comparison. Cam Newton, MVP and also Heisman winner, MVP in 2015. 2015, he had 45 total touchdowns. He had 35 passing. He had 10 rushing. The next year, he
Coming
had
up,
19.
I'm not losing this argument on camera.
That's not good for you, Marcel.
What does Deshaun Watson's huge new deal have to do with Dak Prescott? Uncle Jimmy will give us all the details. Next, you ain't gonna be not on camera, nah, dog. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson, who got seriously paid over the weekend on a 4-year deal for $39 million a year. Shout out to David Mulugeta. While the other quarterback in Texas, Dak Prescott, will be playing under the franchise tag for just over $31 million. Joined now by Uncle Jimmy, who has none of those millions of dollars. But will Deshaun's deal have any impact on Dak?
Hell yeah. Because Jerry Jones done knocked up the ugly chick.
Oh.
You understand?
No.
Look here, man. This is why they say that a good woman ain't cheap and a cheap woman ain't good. And in this case, it go for a man, too.
Okay.
Look here, man. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. Jerry Jones needs to quit trying to pay Dak Prescott like he's a little 2-bit stripper. The man's name is Dackery Fitzgerald Prescott, not Andy, I'll do any job you hand me, Dalton. Okay? And it's a hell of a difference. Dak can run. Dak can throw.
You can.
Dak can take a punch. Dak's one of the good ones, okay? The only thing I don't like about Dak,
What's up?
Dak ain't what they call a looker. He's not easy on the eyes.
His game, man.
Dak kind of look like a bad batch of homemade sin. Meaning Dak's head is so big, his mama just walk in and just slap the hell out of him just for pain and suffering. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying, but hopefully we'll be back tomorrow.